Hello and welcome to Free the Mind UK, a chat with a therapist. My name is Dave Carson. I am the host of the show and I've got a fantastic guest this evening, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. I'm also a therapist. I work with hypnotherapy and integral eye movement therapy. And if anyone wants to find out more about that, you will see my website moving along the bottom of the screen. Now, my guest tonight, I know this lady. She's an amazing lady, Sandra Crathern. She is, a company's called Innavision, Respect Your Health from the Inside Out. She's a health and well-being coach, and she's also a NLP master practitioner, and she's an author of a book called Know the Truth, Celebrating Health and Life. So before we bring Sandra on, let's us find the intro video and play that, and we'll be back shortly.
Not sure what therapy to choose? Free the Mind UK presents A Chat with a Therapist. Join us live for an up-close informal discussion of the various holistic therapies available, helping you make that important choice.
Sandra Crathern, welcome to the show. It's so fantastic.
I love that intro video. It's superb.
You like it, do you?
Oh, I think it's so amazing. I absolutely love it.
Oh, fantastic. I didn't actually create it myself. I actually obviously got someone to do it, but I gave them the ideas behind it. So welcome and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm really excited about this because I know you're going to share some great nuggets for our health and well-being. But I was going to say to you before we get into the nitty and gritty of things, if you could give us a bit of a backdrop and how you got to this point in your life where you're doing what you're doing, Sandra.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting story, really, because I was working as a registered nurse, which I've been pretty much since I started nursing when I was 15. And I loved my job. I was really good, I thought, as a nurse. But there was one slight problem. I was classed as morbidly obese, smoking, drinking, and eventually about to get a divorce in my mid-30s. So I was talking the talk, but I wasn't walking the walk. So I'd, tell everybody, slow down, drink plenty of water. I'd go and have a cigarette and a bar of chocolate around the back of the doctor's surgery and then come in and do the smoking cessation clinic. I mean, what's that about? And I think there was sort of an aha moment where I thought, I just feel a bit of a hypocrite, if I'm expecting you to change behaviour. So I saw a life coach by complete sheer fluke, really. I wasn't planning to see someone. I met this guy and he was a life coach, and I had a few sessions and I just felt really amazing after I'd spoken to him. Nothing in my life changed initially. And then I started to get curious about coaching and what it could bring to somebody. And I started to look into training as a coach. And while I started doing the training, I lost all the weight. I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking. I've got the most amazing marriage with the most amazing guy now. And actually, I'm writing another book. Funnily enough, people keep saying, why don't you write a book about that? Because there's nothing nicer than a happy ending, isn't there? When you're literally, I was about to get divorced. It was like, I was already, looking at a date to leave. And then the next minute, here we are in an amazing relationship. So that was the catalyst. And then my mum took me to a health spa just before I started making the changes. So I was still smoking, drinking and blah, blah. Champneys, funny enough, where I'm a guest speaker and run retreats. And I went there and I thought, wow, it was very emotive. My dad had died and she'd been left some money because he died of asbestosis. So they got compensation. So she paid for this amazing trip. Wow. I had aromatherapy, reflexology. I had cranial osteopathy. I didn't know any of what they were. And I just thought, do you know what? I need to take care of me. I'm just spending all my life taking care of everybody else. And that was when I retrained and started this journey.
Wow, that's incredible. What amazing. My gosh. And that transition, how long did it take, Sandra? Was it because these things don't happen overnight, do they?
I want to say, it was a matter of weeks. A
flick of the fingers.
I stopped smoking 25 years ago this Christmas. I stopped drinking 25 years ago this Christmas. So those two things were quite close together, the drinking and the smoking, within months. And then bit by bit, we went to marriage guidance and Relate. So that started the journey of that. My weight has stayed off for 25 years. So I'm very blessed. I found a recovery program for my food issues. It's free, actually. So bit by bit, and then I started doing yoga and, meditation. So some years, but once I'd started, things started to improve immediately, really, but it took a bit longer to get the rest of the things in place.
Yeah, absolutely. These things take time, don't they? And a lot of people, they can embark on these things and it's quite easy for them to give up, I guess. Why do you think that is? A lot of people tend to do that.
Well, we're a little bit of a quick fix society, and it's like, I wanted to lose the 3 stone in a matter of weeks, or by next month or whenever. And, I wanted to not feel like I wanted a cigarette straight away and whatever. So I think a lot of the time people become impatient because they don't see the results, or they have a few slips and then think, oh, I can't be bothered, or, so it's motivation, commitment sometimes. They don't hold themselves accountable for themselves, get bored with it, don't have enough incentive sometimes. And it's easy, it's easy to fall back into,
it is. And I guess this is the benefit of having a coach, I guess, someone that you can see every so often or whatever and keep you on track with these things.
I love it when my clients say to me, so why do I have to pay you money when I know what to do? So why do you pay me money? Then they say, because I don't do what I know.
Yeah.
I know what I need to do generally, but I tend not to do it. So I get it.
But you mentioned a word there, actually, commitment. And I think that's so important in anything we embark on, and accountability, isn't it? Making that effort and sticking to it. It's really important. I was going to ask you, Sandra, so for people that are watching that have no idea what life coaching, life and health coaching is about, sort of explain exactly what you do.
Well, I have created a tool. It's a good question, but before I show you the tool, counselling tends to be a simple explanation. Counselling tends to be about the past. So, you've had a trauma or a challenge in your life and you need some sort of counselling to talk through it, how it made you feel, blah, blah, blah. And that's absolutely valid and required. Coaching often comes after counselling because, okay, we've now established that, I've been hurt by this person or that person. Coaching is about how can you move forward? Okay, so this is it. I'm left with this, whatever it was that happened to me, whenever it happened. How can I move? What choices have I got? How can I move forward? Because nobody wants to stay a victim forever. People want to take back control and feel they want to embrace their future and their well-being. So really, it's all about how to move forward. So what I do is I created a tool which is called a health counselling tool, which is in my book, which looks at every area. When people see me as a health coach, they go, oh yeah, yoga and exercise, here we go, health coach. And I really like to get people's attention that the things that are on here, basically you put scores of 0 to 10 in and look at if there's balance in each area. And the wonderful thing is, instead of me tell you, you decide, because oh yeah, with a bit more fun or what have you. So let's say you're in the perfect size body and you are perfectly healthy and you eat really well. If you have no fun, Dave, if you don't communicate effectively, if you hate where you live, if you hate your job, if you don't have any sense of spirit, if you don't have a feeling of a purpose, if you don't have great relationships, and if you don't have any money, I don't care how much diet and yoga and exercise you do. All of those things will affect your health. So I look very holistically at people's lives. So, you could have great things in your life, but you've got no money. We can all imagine or have known what it's like not to have much money, how that affects our mental health, our emotional well-being. So I look at a whole big picture with clients, and then they have a look and say, okay, yeah, actually, And what's exciting is when you move one area, it has a knock-on effect to others.
Of course.
So if you increase your fun, that most probably improves your mental health and improves your relationships. So you don't have to work on all, I think there's 10 or 11 elements. You don't have to work on them all, just work on one, small one, and you'll find all the others improve.
Little tiny steps, Sandra. Yeah. And it makes the journey so much easier like that, doesn't it? Little steps.
Oh, yeah, we've all got so much to do. The last thing you want to do is, when I started yoga, my dream was to do yoga 3 times a week. And at the time, I didn't have 5 minutes to do one bit of yoga. So I started doing a little bit of home yoga, and now I most probably do 4 classes a week.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people have unrealistic dreams, and it's good to have someone to break those down into those simple steps like you talk about. I know that you talk about sleep and how important sleep is. It's just one element of obviously health and well-being.
Rest and sleep are up there with there is so much research, Dave. I remember I'm a guest speaker on cruise ships, and I thought I'd just Google stress, just put stress in. And I've got dyslexia, so I can't tell you how many the numbers were, but there was about 10 noughts after the number that said how many articles there were on stress on the internet. So there is so much evidence-based research, because it's no good me just saying, oh yeah, you'll feel great. I'm 63 in March, and I feel better now at this age than I did at 35. Well, that's all very well me telling you want some evidence of that. And there's research, brain scans that have been done that prove if you have adequate sleep, I think it's between 6 and 8 hours a night, and adequate rest, your brain gets the opportunity to actually almost rejuvenate when it's resting. So I really have a big thing about resting. In fact, today I went to bed for an hour, literally just laid there. I didn't sleep because I've got such a jam-packed day, because I left this morning for a breakfast meeting. It's 5:55, I think I told you, and I'm here now tonight. But today I've had beautiful meals at my table with candles. I've had a yoga class, and I have been able to have an hour in bed. So although it's been a full day, radical self-care has come first.
Absolutely. I love it. I love that. I will do myself a lovely bath, right, with some really nice bath salts, and maybe put some candles around the bath, because it just makes me feel fantastic. And it makes me feel good. And that's sort of what you're talking about, isn't it? There's lots of different little things you can do for yourself, like go in the cinema, Sandra, like what you like to do.
Every Monday.
Go for a walk, ride your bike.
There's a new Disney film, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's been years since they've had one out, and it's out on, I think, this weekend, it's a 3-hour film, mind.
Oh, wow.
I'm really excited. I'm going to get my ticket on Saturday. They always say to me, how many is it? One adult and a child? I said, no, just one adult. Oh, okay.
Did you ever have any popcorn?
No, I haven't had any popcorn for 20 years. Funnily enough, I don't even like popcorn, but that was the last time. I've taken my lunch in there before, because I have a very specific lunch I like to eat, a healthy lunch, and if it's in a lunchtime, I might take that in there. So
I actually remember talking about food when I'd be on the road a lot in the van, when doing floor care, carpet cleaning all over the country, and I'd have my little bowl of raw food salad, and all the guys would be like, what are you eating, mate? It's like, well, this is the good stuff, mate. I won't be stopping at the garage getting Greg's sausage rolls.
I think people know processed food. The problem is it's easy, isn't it? And it takes preparation to do other things.
It really is, and it is difficult, and it does take some commitment when you are one of these people who do, drive all over the place with their work, and they don't get chance to actually, at the proper time to cook a meal for themselves. So, but again, that comes down to commitment, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, there's an expression that people don't like to hear, that there's people, I'm quite famous for my clock handbag.
Actually, I was going to mention that, Sandra.
I'm going to move it because it's driving me balmy. It actually does work, and it's about making time for your health.
Absolutely.
And lots of people say to me, "Oh, I haven't got time," and I use this respectfully. But if you don't make time for your health, you'll have to make time for your illness.
Yeah,
and it's a big deal to think about. But people say, "I haven't got enough time." If you make time to do what's important for you, if it's important enough, I'll do it. I've always said that with people. If you want to do something enough, you'll make time. I prepare my meals. If I know I'm going to be busy, like this evening, I had quite a few meetings. So I had all the table laid, candles ready to light, all the food prepared. I literally just had to pour my husband a glass of wine and get downstairs, because it's important to me. So, yeah.
Organisation. Absolutely.
Yeah, my middle name is organisation now.
I could do with some of that, Sandra. And this is another point as well. You have to be at a stage where you can be honest with yourself, and actually know what you have, an idea of what you'd like to change in your life, I guess.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to come and see a coach. I mean, my coach is 86. He's the guy I saw all those years ago. And he said to me that one of the most important things in life to be is really to be authentic. This is who I am, and this is what I believe in. I try to be as respectful. And I think what a lot of clients like to see me is because I've been there a bit, when they come with challenges, of marriage or weight or mental health issues. I've been sat at the end of the beach with 3 kids at home thinking, oh, do I really want to be here anymore? So I do feel when you've got empathy, and of course I've been a registered nurse for over 40 years, which I'm just retired from, but that level of empathy, nobody wants to be, I do that enough of that to myself in my life. I don't want to do that to my clients. I think people want respect. And when you can really be authentic, many of my clients say to me, I can talk to you, Sandra, like I can't talk to anybody else. I say to them, how would it be if you could? What would you need to change to be able to talk to everybody in that authentic way?
So I was going to ask you, Sandra, what sort of clients come through your door online? What sort of clients?
Well, the youngest I coached was an 8-year-old boy who I didn't charge any money for because I said I don't really do children, but my friend said, please just do him because he's got some school issues. And funnily enough, when I'd finished coaching, I didn't charge him anything. He was he had some anger issues to do with the separate parents and one thing, different anger issues, and I got him to draw some pictures and this and that and the other. He said, you know what my issue is? I said, what's that? He said, I lose my temper and I need to go away and take a breath. I said, oh, that sounds marvellous. He basically coached himself. He said, that's what I'm going to do, Sandra. I'm going to take a breath, and then and it was amazing. And she said, I couldn't believe it. What did you do? Can we pay for some more coaching? I said, no, because I don't coach children. I'm just doing it because you've asked me to. And the oldest was 99.
Wow.
So when you ask who comes to me,
that's interesting. 99.
Yeah, 99. I coached him in a car actually when I was driving him somewhere because he had a challenge with something.
Okay.
And another guy who was 90 didn't know whether to marry his 78-year-old girlfriend, and that's what he came for coaching. And I wanted to say, don't give me any money, just marry her.
Yeah.
I had to say, well, what your challenge is, and she was worried you get ill and whatever.
Yeah.
So yes, but the answer is generally people that are often stuck.
Yeah.
So it might be in your career, it might be you want a happier, healthier relationship. It might be that you'd like to communicate and learn to say no a little bit more. You'd like to be able to relax a little bit more. Sometimes people feel quite stressed and they want to just sort of unload and look at what choices they've got to move forward. Obviously, but because of my title, people can sometimes come to me with body issues. They might want to do more exercise, or if they're addicted to it, maybe less, or look at their food. But I'm not a nutritionist. I help people with I say I help people. I listen to people. They help themselves because they use the So I just ask the right questions. That's really all it is.
Yeah. And that's important, and probably it gets better over the years with experience in what you do as well, having that empathy with people and understanding people a bit more.
Yeah, and I love it,
especially from your own experiences, like you said. It's
I love it. I'm seeing quite a few men at the moment. They're aged between, I don't know, 25 and 45. I've seen quite a few men. Very often it seems to be a high proportion of women that come to see me. But I think now men are opening up a lot more and noticing, actually, yeah, we have issues as well.
Yeah. Well, they tend to hide them, don't they? And there's quite a high proportion of suicides amongst men. And I think it's this stiff British upper lip thing, like I know in America it's a lot different, not everywhere all over America, but like counseling or coaching, it's a lot more accepted.
It's more unusual if you aren't in therapy if you're in America than if you are.
I mean, I'm hoping it will change, in this country going forward. And I know with what's been going on in the world, especially in our country, with rising prices, it's added a lot more stress into people's lives. Yeah. So an even greater time to look at your radical self-care, Sandra.
Yeah. Well, people invest so much money on their holidays, don't they? Or their car, or they have their hair done, or they have their nails done, or they pay for nice clothes. And I'm like, how much money do we actually invest in our own health?
Yeah.
If you were lying on your deathbed, you wouldn't be looking at how many more hours you were at work. You'd be looking at whether or not you spent enough time with your family, whether or not you had the longest longevity. I mean, my great-grandmother was 101 and a half when she died.
Wow.
My mother's Austrian. So I thought, I've nailed it. I've got the genetics.
Yes.
Because my great-grandmother and her daughter was 99 and my mum's nearly 90. I thought, no, I've arrived. And then I did some research and found out that actually 95% of your longevity, can you believe, is your lifestyle.
Exactly. Is this anything to do with Bruce Lipton by any chance?
Oh, don't. I've just started. This. You mean the cold shower guy? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, Bruce Lipton. He was a biologist. I think he worked with stem cells and stuff, and he realised that it was more your environment that affected you rather than your genetics. And people like boo-hooed him at the beginning, and now it's called epigenetics. It's got its own field, its name, and everything.
Yeah. But there is, the proof is in the pudding, and I mean, I've just started this cold shower thing. I can't remember the name of the guy. A funny name. And I thought, well, let's have a go. I'm all about prevention. I think that's the thing. Whereas people generally wait till cure time.
They do.
Let's wait till there's a problem, and then we go and seek help. Whereas, I go and have a massage. I've got a sports injury massage guy. I don't see him that often. And people say, oh dear, what's the matter? I said, nothing. I don't want anything to be the matter.
Yes.
You went to see a reflexologist, is something going on? No, nothing. And I don't want anything to go on.
It's interesting you say that, because I went to my sports massage therapist in Littlehampton, Sue Cooper, by the way. Anyone's watching wants to check her out. She's really good, really, really good. And I just go to her. I think I go like every 6 to 8 weeks.
Great.
Just, like you said, it's self-care. It's so important.
John Rogers, my guy, is in Worthing. He's been 25 years. He's almost below where the dome is in Worthing. Okay. Amazing sports injury. He does all my kids as well. Well, they're all grown-up men now, but he does everybody.
Yeah.
Even my middle son, who's kite surfed over Brighton Pier, I couldn't believe it. I've always talked about radical self-care, and there's a bit of them, whatever. He said to me, Mum, I'm doing yoga in a yurt. I was like, oh my God, you're doing yoga in a yurt. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do what you like. I just want to live healthy for as long as I can. You've got to choose what you want to do.
Yeah. I think, go on, sorry.
That example, that's for me, the key thing for me is to be a role model. I can't make my kids, with what I used to be doing, you know, with smoking and drinking. And
Yeah,
vaping.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I've got no right to tell them. I said, I do what really works for me. One of my kids does this beautiful juicing as well as eating healthily, and he's got all these green and different colours in
I
his.
love the juicing, Sandra. I'm big
Are you
on
a
that. I love it.
juicer?
Yeah, I'm a juicer. Although, like I mentioned to you earlier on today, I have these little waves, and I can go 6 months juicing every day. And then it's almost as though my body says, okay, Dave, we're having a break from it. But that's probably my excuse. But you get your 5 a day straight away. I know it releases a lot of sugar when you juice, but at least it's natural. It goes straight into the bloodstream. And I've done a lot of research on it. And it winds me up when I talk about juicing and people refer to it as a smoothie. So it's not a smoothie.
No, it's definitely not a smoothie.
Well, you know, some people prefer smoothies, you know, because you don't have as much sugar released with a smoothie and all that. But you're absolutely right. Your health is so important, and it's so easy to forget about this, because you can have all the money in the world, you can have lots of wonderful things going on in your life, but once your health deteriorates, that's it. You know,
I know.
it's a you know, because you might not be able to, you know, enjoy those other things.
My dad died when he was 64, as I said, of asbestos-related lung cancer. He never smoked or anything. And my mum, as I said, is Austrian. He met her in Vienna. And they wanted to go to Austria before he died, and he just couldn't, because he just didn't. And now I'm not saying that, you know, if he'd have been juicing and yoga and meditating, nothing was going to help my dad.
Indeed.
You know, I'm not suggesting that if you do all these things, I mean, I think people say, well, you could get run over by a bus tomorrow, Sandra.
Yeah.
In fact, a friend of mine just got run over last weekend under a car, broke her back. Yeah, quite. I mean, she's in hospital at the moment, and I'm ringing her regularly. You know, you don't know what's around the corner, but if you radically look after yourself, I can guarantee you will reduce the rate that the possibility of things going wrong.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm really all about, reducing things right down.
It's interesting, Sandra, because I've got quite a slim frame, you know. So, like, I haven't got any fat on my arms or my legs, right? I get it on my stomach, you know. And I remember looking at some research about fat stomachs, and apparently that's the place where a lot of cancer, you know, it can create cancer. I think that's what I was reading. It's not good in that respect for cancer. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's and for women as well. That's sort of the only issue I think for a lot of people is they're more predispositioned to be like that. You see, I'm naturally have got a stomach as flat as a drum. You know, even after 3 children, I have a very naturally quite slim
build
body frame. And it doesn't. I mean, yes, when I was obese, obviously everything filled out, but you know, but it's a lot more challenging for people. I think if you are, you know, some people seem to do everything they can to lose weight and they still have a bit of a tummy. But I think it's really about looking at what goes into you and being mindful of what you're, you know, I think like you said, no one's perfect. I mean, the only reason I think I adhere to such a disciplined, radical self-care is because I'm in a 12-step recovery program, which, you know, most people have heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm in a different one, but they really are specifically attuned to consistent discipline, you know, for our well-being.
That is the key, Sandra. Consistent discipline, commitment, discipline.
In a loving way, not in a that way. You know, I didn't really want to get up at 5 o'clock this morning and meditation, if I'm honest. I get up at 5 o'clock every day. But this morning particularly, it was freezing. Did I want to jump out of bed? And I had to really talk to myself. I said, look, Sandra, you feel so much better when you've done half an hour meditation. You just do. So,
and it's about creating new habits, Sandra, as well. I think, you know, it gets.
Well, I used to say it was 21 days, but I think it's nearer
3 months, isn't it? Is it
3 months now or more?
Yeah.
So, but I do think if you consistently do something, and to be motivated and want to do it, you know, that's what I help people with. What stops you moving forward? You know,
and I think what you do as well is great. You've got that great combination, so you can do therapy with your, you know, with your NLP or whatever techniques you use, and then you can obviously give them the guidance. Whereas I don't really give guidance and support and that. I just focus on the problem at hand, and then hopefully.
Well, actually, I don't give guidance so much.
Mm,
If someone, I mean, I'm an accredited coach, an ACC accredited coach, and not all coaches are accredited. I think it's important to ensure that you are working with someone
right.
who has an accreditation. But I do feel that that sort of when I'm working with people to find out what stops them moving forward is really a bit of a key, because once you've established that, then you can work on how they can self-motivate, because I'm not going to be there. I mean, fun enough, I normally do 3 coaching sessions. I don't tie people in for years.
Mhm.
I have 3 sessions with me normally over 6 weeks, and then they're done normally. But I'm still working with people 2 and 3 years later. They're having one a month or one every couple of months, or they have a break and come back, because
Yeah,
they don't want to lose that momentum.
of course.
Because it is quite difficult to self-motivate and self-discipline sometimes. Oh, and just to mention, I don't know if everybody knows NLP, what that is. Neuro-linguistic program is quite a lot of big words. I do have dyslexia, so when I had to write down what I did, I couldn't even spell it. Neuro is your brain,
Yeah.
linguistic is language, and
Mm,
programming is about changing behavior. So that's what
mm.
NLP in a nutshell stands for.
Yeah, I should have clarified that, actually, because we get so used to it's like EFT, emotional freedom, all these different techniques. They've all got their little things, whatever it's called. Yeah,
Yeah, you want to
absolutely.
get with a lot of nurses and doctors, then you're really in trouble. That's all they do is speak their own language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I when I studied NLP, neuro linguistic programming, I was a bit off put with it to begin with, because it was just like learning a new language, Sandra. And it was interesting that it was about communication, and yet it was so complicated. I remember reading about somebody else that NLP is supposed to be about the excellence in these things, and yet it was like, well, it went over my head, to be honest. It took me quite a bit of time to really get into it and understand all the different terms and everything.
You should
So,
have had the training I had. It was simple as anything.
was it really?
Yeah, I was cost me thousands though.
Yeah.
I was willing to pay, because I'd found out it was quite a simplistic version with some top
Oh,
trainers in London. But
yeah.
what we did was we stayed for a weekend once a month for 5 months. I had this amazing girlfriend who let me stay in her flat in London for free. So I'd go up, leave my family here. They were all teenagers then, on the Friday night, and go back on the Monday morning. So I absolutely absorbed in it all day, every day. And we just did all practical. It
Yeah.
wasn't much reading or anything. A lot
Yeah.
of
That's the key, Sandra. It's practice.
yeah.
In practice. It's like when I go to my mind, body, spirit fairs, I have my stall there, and I do little taster sessions with as many people as possible. And they're getting it for free, but if I can astound them with a little snippet of how I could help them move forward, then they're going to probably, get in
I've
contact
done
with me.
quite a few free sessions, funny enough. I remember one girl came to me, and I'd offered her this free session. She said, "To be honest, Sandra, I don't think I need it. I'm fine."
Yeah.
2 years later, I'm still coaching her. And it's I always feel like that's really cool when someone says, "No, no, I'm okay." But when
Yeah.
she broke down her life, she said, actually, although nothing was dire, she said,
Yeah.
if I did have a bit more fun, that would help me." Because she's a business person, because I work often with people that do own their own businesses as well as
Mhm.
people that don't.
Yeah.
I've worked with people that can't leave their house, for example. I remember I
Mm.
worked with a guy who could barely leave his house, and on the last session, he drove to my house, which was really lovely.
Yeah.
Somebody who wants to have a baby and got pregnant. Not that I'm ever saying that I can get anyone pregnant, but she
Yeah.
felt she released so much stuff in the session. She felt that had helped her.
Yeah.
I've worked with people that are stuck, like I said, and like this lady, she didn't think there was anything really that she wanted to improve. I don't believe there's anybody on the planet who
Mm.
wouldn't gain from coaching,
Benefit,
not me particularly,
yeah.
but anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people walking about, and they've got issues and problems, and they're unfortunately living with that, and they're not going anyone to get it sorted. And it's interesting because there's a plethora of things on YouTube where you can learn loads of techniques, to help with stress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just education. And actually talking about that, I want to talk about your, if I can find it, your YouTube channel, Sandra. There we go. This is Sandra's YouTube channel. I've been on there, and you've got some great videos on there. Again, you know, your little tips and bits.
You know, I've been putting a weekly. I'm not very good at all the social media, but I'm very consistent. You know, always do a little bit. And then one day I thought I'd do I have a weekly vlog. And then once a month, there's a blog on there because someone said, you've got to do a written. I'm not so good at the written, but I do it once a month. And then the rest of them are videos. And I put these videos on. And I thought, why do I bother? You know, sit in front of this and I do this. You know, I'm not a millionaire yet. Why am I bothering with this? So I called the vlog, Why Bother? And so many more views on that one. It was only a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I look back and, you know, I think I've done 770 videos since I started.
Wow.
Every single, and I thought, bless me, I deserve a little medal for just sitting in front of it and doing it.
Yeah.
Bit like yours, you know, when I see you in your cab or car, whatever it is, and you say, hi, everyone. I just think, you know, I can't see that you're doing that because you're earning money. I think you're doing it because you want to spread a word, don't you?
Yeah, I want to spread some joy, you know.
Yeah, spread some fun. When you laugh, you release endorphins that are more powerful than heroin. Not that I've tried heroin. And they flood you. And my husband always used to watch Laurel and Hardy. He used to really get on my wick because I remember I was in labour with my first son. I was in labour with my first son a month early, and I was actually in labour. I didn't know I was in labour. And I must have a massively high pain threshold because I was nearly at the pushing stage. And I said, can we go to the hospital? He said, you can't be ready. It's not due for another month. I want to watch the rest of the He carried on watching. And when I went in there, they said, I think I was in there 2 hours and then out he popped. So, you know, I didn't have much time left.
Wow.
But he feels really good and he watches a lot of stuff that makes him laugh.
Absolutely. Definitely, Sandra, definitely. That's why I've got so many blooming laughter lines here. They're like proper deep ones because I, you know, smiling away. And you know, I don't know whether well, to me, it's a good thing. Even if it's not going amazing in my life, I'll still get that smile out, you know, because like it's good for me. Like you said, it releases the and when you smile a bit, you actually feel better, obviously. So
when you laugh, actually, the research tells you what happens to your body. So when you laugh, you take big breaths, don't you? Go, So what happens? You fill your lungs full of oxygen, which all go around to your cells and reoxygenates them with food, their food that they need. So what happens when we're not laughing? I think it's research says children laugh 300 times a day and adults 20.
Yeah.
I remember I said to someone, how many times a day do you laugh? She said, a couple. I said, and I laughed. I said, I'm glad you didn't laugh then. You know, I definitely your physical body to laugh because it makes your lungs expand.
I've got to be honest, personally, I feel fantastic. I could do with losing a bit of weight, and there is a couple of things I could alter in my life. But I feel great because I don't even know if it's fake it till you
in the new year, aren't you?
Absolutely, and I don't even know if it's fake it till you make it. I don't know what I do. I just do it, but I smile a lot, and I feel joyful. I feel good inside most of the time, and I'm sure people notice that because they notice when I'm not, you know, which isn't that often, to be fair.
The biggest gift you can give someone actually is your time and a smile, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to go on to your book. Here we go. It's called Know the Truth: Celebrating Health and Life. And when did you write this, Sandra?
Well, because I've got dyslexia, I thought, well, I'm never going to be an author. So I found a way of writing the book without making it difficult for myself. And that's basically, I have a personal assistant who comes only a few hours. And we did it over about 2 years. So once a month she'd come, I'd just talk to her about it. She'd work it all out what to do. And then we sent it off to someone. So this is the book with, as you can see, another clock handbag there, wherever that is. This was done at Champneys Health Spa, fun enough, the pictures.
Wow.
And Maria Scard is the photographer. She's an amazing photographer.
Yeah, it's a good picture. Really good.
But basically, it's got the tools that I've created. I've created 2 other tools. One's about how to get more peace of mind that I work with people. I'm just looking at this. Anyway, they're in the book, and
It's got the health fountain in there, yeah. It's called the health fountain, isn't it?
There's the health fountain, and there's this other one that I said to you, how to get more peace of mind, which is a very simple tool.
Okay.
And it's nice because peace as in jigsaw piece,
and
peace as in peace and calm.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's another tool that I work with people. Have you ever overreacted and you wish you'd responded better? Most people know what that feels like. So this is another one which is called a spirit level tool, which helps people with how to respond instead of react. You know, I mean,
very creative. I do a talk about the emotional, like the emotional part of the brain and the logical brain, and often the emotional part will always win in a conflict with the logical part. It's only when you walk away and you think, oh my God, what did I say?
I know, and that's
what kicks back in.
Helps people with.
Yeah. So in your book, is it packed full of little tips and?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it talks a little bit about my life. I had to go to my 3 sons actually and ask permission because I have had when I said about the pot calling the kettle black, a lot of things I've done in my life that have not been okay.
Yeah.
As well as how I didn't take care of myself. A lot of my behaviours in the past were not great. So I don't go into great big detail because it's not all about me, but I have to give a little bit of an example of why who am I to write a book?
Absolutely.
So I talk a bit about my past and, my weight and marriage issues. I don't go into great detail. So they were all fine about it. They said, well, we see you and Dad in an amazing place and we never really saw anything that bad. It wasn't like we were punching each other or anything. And our issues were generally when they weren't in the house. But it's not the point. They would have known that we've got issues because kids just know, don't they?
They do.
So, but mainly, I mean, it won't take you 2 hours, 3 hours to read it. It's not a long book, but it's asking you questions and answers and getting you to have a little look at how you do communicate, how you do become more authentic, how you do this stuff, more of the how to do it rather than you've got to do it. How can I do that? And what are the benefits as well, really?
Absolutely, because I did go onto Amazon because you can get that book on Amazon, and I think a few other places. All you got to do is put your name and the name of the book into Google and come up. But there were some great reviews, Sandra. And we were talking earlier on today, and someone said there was 5. Was it 5 words?
There was a nurse friend of mine when I was nursing. I'd just written it, and she said, "Can I read it?" And I always feel a bit. If a friend reads it, what about this and they don't like it? So I said, well, if you find it of value, would you put a review on? She said, oh, yeah. And then she came to me and said, I've read your book. I've put my 5 words on. And I was like, oh, God. So I went on to the reviews a bit sort of like thinking, oh, please, God. And it said, this is my second Bible.
Wow. Beautiful.
And I was like, well, that's a review that I would think is a dream review, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, I'm looking for a nice title for my How to Get an Amazing Relationship Without Sounding Egotistical, because, like I said, we were right down the Swanee. You know, in fact, we laugh about it sometimes and talk about what it was like when we were in Relate and marriage guidance. And we used to come out and argue after we'd been in there.
Yeah. I find that intriguing, actually, because, in my life, the things that have happened in my life that I could say were, not great. With the passage of time, it's interesting time, it's you can sort of laugh about it.
And I think you have to forgive yourself as well. I'm very much into a lot of self-compassion because I did the best I could with the resources I got at the time.
Yes.
That's what I say to people.
That's important.
I didn't have the skills of communication. I'd like to think now I've got really good skills of communication. I can say to my husband when I'm angry. I can say how I'm feeling without shouting at him. My husband, we always laugh. I use this analogy of he goes a bit round the houses, before he gets to where he's going. Well, they must have known. You must have realised. I was like, I'm not Spock. I do not read minds. Yeah. So now we've got a much better rapport, and we're able to say, this is what's going on for me. We have regular meetings and coffees out and regular time.
And I'm guessing this is how you can help other people in their relationships as well, with these tips, with this way of doing things.
Yeah, and people know deep down what they really want. And it's about working with people to help them, support them to get what they want to have. I think anything's possible. if you're willing to make the commitment and just go for it, really.
Yeah, and do you think that people have to be on the threshold, because you'll get, I've had people come to see me and they're not quite ready for it. So it doesn't matter what you say to them, what you do with them.
Yeah,
it ain't going to work,
Someone said at a breakfast meeting this morning, I said to them, "Oh, have you ever had health coaching?" "I don't believe in all that rubbish." He said, "I smoke and I drink and I do this and I do that. And I don't have proper breaks at my meal table." So I said, "And what could the consequences of those things be?" He said, "I'll die young." I said, "Are you willing to accept the consequences?" He said, "Yeah."
Really?
The thing is, most people, when I say to them, "Are you willing to accept the consequences?" they say no.
Yes.
And I'm saying, well, that's interesting. You're saying that this and this could be a consequence, but you're not willing to accept it. And then they start to think, oh, yeah. So what could you do different if you don't want to accept it? But he was willing. So there's no way he was ever going to come and see me, is there?
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You gave him a little nugget there. You gave him a seed, something to think about.
Yeah.
And I think
I'd rather have 10 people come and see me that really want to make some changes and are really willing to do the action than 20 people that I've shoved their arm behind their back and said, "I think you need this."
Exactly. It's like a losing battle.
Yeah.
I'd like to go on to, let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Your latest adventure on TikTok.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to you, my teacher. Do you know what? Dave sat with me in a coffee shop and drove all the way from where he lives to come to Worthing to sit in a coffee shop for a whole hour to teach me how to do this, Ruddy. Someone said to me, "For your business, you ought to go on TikTok." I thought TikTok was one of these. I didn't know what TikTok was. Like Twitter, I thought that was a bird. I mean, bearing in mind I've been a nurse all my life, I wasn't very educated in these things. And I have been very committed, and I just keep sticking things on.
Sandra. And I think this is part of your success over the years is that commitment, definitely. And you must check out Sandra's TikTok channel and give her a follow, because it's really good information. It's all like daily snippets of radical self-care sort of
Yeah,
thing.
there's a lot of pictures of baths in there.
Yeah, there is actually.
I'm a bit addicted.
Sandra on her bike.
As well.
Just basically things you're doing for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Reminding people, get yourself, instead of get yourself out in the fresh air. It doesn't cost anything to go for a walk.
And nature's a healer. You know, how many people save up their time for their holiday? That's their self-care. So they wait all year, and then 9 times out of 10, there's a lot of research to say that people are actually ill just before they go. Because they've busted their gut so much, and then they relax, and then they're ill and they don't enjoy their holidays.
Yeah.
So why wait for all that time to, if you have a beautiful car, you put petrol in it and you polish it and you look after the leather. Our bodies are incredible. Absolutely better than any computer you'll ever find.
Absolutely. And I always talk about this, I always say, if people really truly understood how incredible we are as a machine, if you want to call it that, natural machine.
Yeah.
What happens just in moving the fingers, the messages getting sent up the arm to the brain in a flash of a millisecond or whatever.
It's incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
And I really love my body, and I really respect it now. And I think it's I went to a mumpreneurs years and years ago. I don't know what it was, like 500 women in a room, and they were doing some awards. And they said there was a photographer there who wanted to work with people that really loved and respect themselves. Could they stand up? 6 women stood up, and I was one of them. And I was an older one. I wasn't like one of the young 25-year-old model looking ones. 6, he said, "Please stand up. I want to do a free, whatever it was, picture of you. But you've got to really love and respect and care for your body and love your body." And 6 women out of 500 stood up. And I thought that was a bit sad, really.
It is a bit sad. I was at my mind, body, spirit fair the other day, and someone, what question did they ask me? You know, like who are you or something? And I said, I'm a beautiful manifestation of existence. You know, it's like it's just incredible that I've got this body. And to be fair, you know, if I'm coming from your own truth, I should look after it more. I should follow your footsteps.
Maybe get rid of the word should. I don't allow my clients to come in with that word, because I went to Champneys once and there was an 86-year-old retired surgeon, and I used to go and listen to him, and he used to say, stop wearing your earrings as your shoulders as earrings, he used to say. And then he said, and stop shoulding all over yourself. I should do this, I should do that. If point. You turn that word to could, it makes you feel more accountable, because otherwise I feel awful. I should have gone to bed early.
Absolutely.
And in the end, I'm depressed.
It feel good, does it? It makes you feel like you haven't accomplished.
It does. Oh, I should have drunk more water, and I should.
Okay, that's something I'm going
to. How would it be? Do you know, I could do that if I chose to do that,
Absolutely.
But today I'm choosing not to for whatever reason.
I do the same thing with try. If I hear anyone say try, I always say don't try, just do it. Because if you try it, it probably won't come to fruition, you know.
Very true, isn't it? Yeah, be more compassionate. That's what I help my clients with. Get rid of the word should. You know, you could if you choose to, and right now you may or may not be ready to.
And people would be surprised how what we say to ourselves makes a massive impact.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't say that to your best friend, would you?
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't.
We're very hard. We can be.
People talk to themselves. I always say to people, look, if someone actually said that to you, would you be happy? And they'd be like, no way, you know, wouldn't let anyone talk to me like this. And I'll say, well, why do you talk to yourself like that? You know,
it is about self-education. I don't speak to myself badly anymore when I drop something or lose something. I used to be swearing and cursing at myself and calling myself, I'm not even going to repeat. It's just not very nice. Whereas now I say, I spilt some yogurt in the fridge and it dropped on the floor and just covered me. And I just went, oh dear, you had a little accident. And I was cross about the yogurt. It was inconvenient, but I wasn't going to swear at myself. I had an accident. It wasn't intentional.
I know exactly where you're coming from with that. And what I try to do, I try to laugh it off.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a struggle, but you know, I just laugh. It's like, oh gosh, you know, and I do that a lot actually. You know, even if I'm doing this with you now and I make a mistake, I just laugh it off because
you're doing the best you can. I feel very best that you spent a whole hour talking to me, because that saves my husband having to listen to me. He's in bed because I've told him so much. You've got to get rest. You've got to look after yourself well. After dinner, we go to bed really quite early and we rest and chat, and he might watch something and I watch something. It's really lovely, but it's lovely that he wants to self-care and rest as well. But he hasn't had to listen to me for an hour, so he's delighted.
Yeah, he must be flying. He must be like a jet plane, your partner.
He's amazing.
I was going to say, sorry, go on.
No, he's a really. Do you know what? When you come to someone when you're 42 and you say, "I'd like to take £10,000 out of our equity so that I can retrain as a life coach," and he went, "Why? You're a nurse. You don't need to do that." I said, "No, but I feel like it's a calling and a purpose." And he went, "Really?"
Bless.
And he let us do that, you know. So I could get amazing. So I think that's pretty. And he always says to me, "I think you're amazing. You're amazing at what you do." He doesn't understand it all, but
I think we also attract, you know, we get a certain point in our life. I mean, a lot of relationships, they're on like the hamster wheel. People in relationships have issues, they don't get them sorted, and it's same old thing, and then they'll split up and then they'll attract the same thing, you know.
Right.
So it's like, you know, good for you.
That's why I'm writing a book about that, because I think one of the key things to relationships is effective communication, is talking to each other about how you're feeling and what your needs are. Also gratitude. I do a lot of appreciation to my husband, thank him a lot, and he does me, but in an authentic way, not just in a thanks for, you know. I really find that makes a big difference. But buy my book when it comes out eventually.
What's the book called again, Sandra?
Well, I'm looking for a title.
Oh, you haven't got a name yet?
No, because I don't want it to be all smarmy. I want it to be something that people, you know, enrich or relate. I don't know. I just think that maybe I'll ask you, Dave, later another day, because you're brilliant at these sort of things.
Oh, really? Of course I am, Sandra. Of course I am. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, 'cause you've helped me with my TikTok,
Yeah.
so you can do anything. You can.
Do you know what? You can do anything if you put your mind to it and
Yeah,
put
of course you
the effort in and
can.
have a commitment and do it in nice, easy steps. And it's something I'm discovering in my chapter of my life. And do you know, I haven't got a telly, Sandra, so it's fantastic. So I'm not. There's a lot of people they're stuck in front of the TV all night, and they're, you know, it's entertainment. I get that, but like, there's a lack of creativity. You know.
So what do you do in your evenings?
Do you know what I do? I spend a lot of time studying. I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm on YouTube trying to discover new techniques or different ways that I can help people in my work. You know, I watch interesting stuff on science and neuroscience, what's happening with the brain, new discoveries and stuff like that. So I'm about expanding my mind. That's what I like to do. The only issue, not really an issue, but you know, retaining all the information, that's a different ball game. But it's all in there.
It's wonderful. I must admit, I listened to Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, he's
I think
great.
he's pretty amazing.
He is.
And there's a great book called The Slight Edge. A really fantastic book. I'm just trying to think of who the author is, but that's an incredible book.
What's it about then?
Pardon?
What's it about?
The Slight Edge is all about when you keep doing the next smallest right action, and it shows you an arrow, and if you keep doing the not next smallest right action, not much changes, and then all of a sudden there's a big change where your health deteriorates or it improves. Because you know, let's say you're smoking and drinking or can't be bothered to do stuff or don't take care of yourself. Initially, there won't be much change between the two, and then all of a sudden you get to a certain age and things will start to radically change.
I can relate that.
In not a scary way. It just makes you think, oh well, you know, if I do this, this. It's more of a carrot than a stick book.
I can relate that to practicing the guitar. I've been practicing the guitar for like 3 years, Sandra, right? Classical guitar. And it has been a challenge, but the reason it's been a challenge is because I don't practice enough. And the last 3 weeks I've been practicing, and it's almost like that whole 3 years, right, has just come together. Do you know what I mean? And I'm playing, and it's like, you know, all of a sudden I'm able to read the music and very simplistic tunes, you know. But like you said, you know, if you keep doing something on a regular basis, eventually, you know, like what you were doing. I know it's a completely different analogy, but you know, same principle, isn't it? Same principle.
I played the piano every day for half an hour for 10 years.
Really?
I practiced pretty much every single day.
If the piano was there, is that piano? I won't ask you to play the piano, Sandra.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to hear me sing either. If you go onto my YouTube channel, though, you will see my Christmas song with me dressed in. Two things I hate doing is dressing up and singing.
I saw
I'm doing both.
Fantastic.
And I've changed a song, a Christmas carol, to a health song. So do check that out. That is quite entertaining.
I did see it. I watched it. It was really
good.
Did
you? My son's playing the piano, grand piano, but he doesn't, baby grand. He doesn't want to be seen. And at the very end, my grandson comes in. So it's quite cute.
I enjoyed it, especially your singing. Definitely.
Hideous. I can't sing. He's lying.
I'll have to like it now, won't I? So like, just to sort of recap here. Well, not recap, actually. I want to talk about how people can get hold of you, Sandra, and whether you work online as well as face-to-face.
Yeah, I do both. I come into companies and do work. In fact, I'm going to South Africa in January, and I'm going to be doing a talk in a hospital about radical self-care with the staff. So I do, obviously companies is lovely to come into and talk about self-care. I love doing individuals, so people can contact me either via my website or Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn under Sandra Crathern as well. And I always give people a free initial talk so we can discuss what they want to do and how they want to move forward, and just to make sure it's me that they need. Or, you know, my services. So, but I do Zoom. Ideally, people like to come and see me. I've got a beautiful space in my home that I coach people in. But, you know, obviously there's people I've coached in other countries I'm running a couple of retreats, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, really? Tell us about that.
Champneys in May, called what's it called? Anyway, there's one in Champneys all about realigning your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being with a coach who's flying over from Italy.
Wow.
And I've also got an Udemy course as well, which is all about radical self-care. Just put radical self-care Udemy course.
And you've got your new book coming out at some point.
Yeah, I don't know quite when that will be. And I'm on another cruise next year, a Nordic cruise as a speaker. So there's some fun things, and a new baby girl coming after having 3 sons. I'm having granddaughters all popping.
Wow, that's going to be exciting for you. That's going to be amazing. Good for you. Congratulations. That'll be something to look forward to. And, you know, I admire people like you, Sandra. I really do, because, you know, you put the work in, and, you know, you're doing all these amazing things, writing your books and, you know, traveling and doing talks and helping people in the way you do. It's amazing. It really is. And need more people like you.
Well, it's about having fun and following your purpose, I think, and helping. You know, I'm put on the earth to help other people, and people have helped me, and I want to pass that on, really, I guess. Absolutely. But I just feel very privileged, and I was just so delighted. Thank you so much. And if I can have another one of your lovely TikTok lessons one day. We were supposed to get a free lunch, and all he ended up with was, I don't even think he let me buy him coffee. Did you?
Well, you did give me a lovely bottle of red wine and a lovely little card, Sandra. And I've actually got my card up there. You can't see it though, but it is up there. And well, I've known Sandra for a number of years, although we haven't sort of communicated over the last 10 years or 8 years, wherever it is. But we did come across each other in our networking days, or my networking days. And that your clock bag was very much part of your sort of identity.
I know. I've had 15 years.
Yeah.
Not amazing. This one. I've had
the other one. You lost one, didn't you? You lost your original one.
Yeah, someone stole it in a toilet.
Oh my God.
I left it outside the toilet by accident. It got stolen.
Oh my God.
So this one actually works. And it was so funny because I could imagine this person being mugged if they were found in Worthing, because everyone knows it's me.
Of course.
You've got Sandra's bag.
Yeah, bloody give us it back. Love that, Sandra. Well, look, Sandra, it's been amazing. Really enjoyed you coming on and giving us.
I feel very. I'm normally in bed fast asleep by now, and I'm not. Thank you.
And I'm sure people are going to benefit immensely. And if anyone's watching, especially watching the recording version of this talk, you can get hold of Sandra at www.innavision.co.uk. You'll be able to see her TikTok channel, and you can check out her book, Know the Truth. So yeah, fantastic, Sandra. Thank you so much. And anyone that's watching, if you'd like to share and like, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel, because it does enable us to get more people watching. Personally, it does take a bit of effort for myself to set these things up. You know, I spend time doing adverts and God knows what. So I want it to be worthwhile. I want more people to be watching the videos, because we've had some fantastic speakers on, and like Sandra, and I think it's great. So everyone watching, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you
Merry Christmas.
Week. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Next week we'll be back on in a couple of weeks. I can't even remember my guest. It wasn't very well organized. Anyway, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.